What up, stock dads? Welcome to another episode of Slayer talks his shit, and Fuzz, he kills it, right? I
Bring
mean,
it down to
Fuzz,
earth, man.
we nailed Lockheed Martin, right? And thank you for the member who mentioned the question, right? He was like, "Hey, what's
Right.
going to be great going into next week? What are you looking at for earnings?" And I go, "Well, there's a few, but Lockheed Martin is definitely on the radar." And wow,
Lockheed.
what a week Lockheed
Yeah,
Martin had after earnings. I mean,
yeah,
it was
that sucked.
monstrous, a monstrous move, and I hate him for it. But man, what a beautiful move that was.
Right?
Guys, I really want to take this time real quick to plug our new merch store. We've been working so hard and getting a lot of stuff happening, a lot of rebranding, if you will, trying to get the tones just right. Look, go to dadmerch.com and just go check us out, right? You don't have to go buy anything if you don't want to, but man, I gotta tell you, the shirts are cool, man. Like I gotta get the one with the coffee mug that has a little swirl on
Yes.
it. Like that's my jam, man. Like I'm a coffee guy. I drink coffee at night. I drink coffee to go to sleep. I drink coffee to wake up. I drink coffee to do like Excel spreadsheets. I mean, I drink coffee all the time,
All day, every day.
all day, every day. I need it, man. I need it in my life. So that
Yep.
that emblem that it has on the sweater, I need that one, man. I'm going after it.
There you go. Yeah, they're great quality. DJ did a really good job at putting a bunch of designs together, and yeah, go check it out, and find something that you like. And Christmas is coming up, so if you want to rock out some dad merch, there you go. Mine, of course, is going to be the Fuzz hoodie. So I mean, support your
You
local
know,
Fuzz.
I used
And
to own my own. I used to own my own t-shirt company too, man. And so
that's right.
I can really get behind a guy that knows how to go out there and find the right material for the shirts too. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't want the stuff that's just consistently shrinking in the dryer every time you buy it. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
right.
I respect it. I respect the fact that he goes out there and he tries to find the right stuff. And those are the kind of clothes that I like to get involved with.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
But listen, we've got the Feds versus the Democrats in this midterm season, if you will, right? And I feel like there's just so much happening in this political stance, if you will, that it's hard to keep track of. It's hard to keep track of rising oil prices and the fact that Saudi Arabia and the U.S. are now kind of wishy-washy about OPEC, drilling back on drilling and I kept drilling back on drilling. That's great.
Drilling back on drilling.
They're not giving out as much oil as they used to, and so it's forcing us into this position where we've got to use more reserves. And now we're actually like go out and drill more oil so we can pay you more money in the future for these oil reserves, right? Because I think the Feds actually, I'm sorry, the Democrats came out and said, if you go out and drill, we will guarantee to buy back your barrels of oil at $75 per gallon. Interesting. So, in order to fight the fact that OPEC is calling you out for using them in your political stuff, right? Uh,
Right.
you're going to turn around and ask us to go drill and guarantee us that you're going to give us $75 a barrel for it. Okay, fine. Great. That's what you're going to do. Great. Go
Sure.
out there, oil companies, go get that money, please, by all means. Guess what I'm buying? I'm buying ZOM and I'm buying Schlumberger. I'm buying EOG. I'm going out there, I'm getting it, right? Because at $75 a
Heck
barrel,
yes.
people are happy, right? I mean, they're not making
Right.
crazy profits, but there's less risk, right? I mean, we as stock traders, we as day traders, we have to be masters of risk, if you will. So it's always good to know that that $75 base level that these oil companies have is very interesting and very good for the future. So I'm going to be watching that oil market and that energy sector a lot more. Um,
I
even
like
more
that.
so, even more so, the Feds fighting the Democrats, right? So we have Joe Biden on one side. Sorry, I'll use this hand. Joe Biden on one side, he's telling everybody, oh, we're going to open up more jobs. We're going to have the infrastructure bill. We're going to open up
Sure.
so many jobs so we can employ America again, right? We're going to put America back in your hands. And then the feds are going, too many people have jobs.
Right.
Right?
Slow down. Slow down. Slow
We
down.
got
I
too many
know.
people have jobs. You can't go do that, right? And so you've
Whoa,
got
Nelly.
a Republican Fed and you've got a Democrat president, and they're both bickering at each other, right? but they're not really saying anything to each other, not putting each other down, because the Democrats know if they fight the Fed, they'll lose every time, and the Fed knows it, right?
Right.
The Fed knows they're going to run the monetary policy. Now, whether they run it into the dirt or whether they kind of scale back on their interest rate hikes and send us to the moon again, that's yet to be seen. So recently they had this huge meeting where the Feds were speaking about dialing back the interest rates, but not
Right.
enough to send us into a bull market. And that was the biggest thing that came from those meetings, right?
Right.
If how are they going to raise interest rates and still keep us happy? I don't understand how that's going to work. The only way you do it is give us a 50 base rate hike, right? And that's
I
going
think so.
to allude to a bull market run, in my opinion. But the Feds are going to be tricky here, I think, right? I think the Feds are going to be tricky with their wording, and I think that they're going to use some type of other scale in order to bring the markets back down to size. So be careful of these bull runs, guys. They are not going to last very long. So when you're thinking that, we're on the uptrend, be careful for these monetary policy changes coming from the Feds. It's going to change in a matter of days. So on these bull runs, make sure you're taking profits. You've got to get in and out of these trades like you're drinking a drink at the bar, right? On to the next one, because another
Right.
one's coming. Get in the trade, make a couple of bucks, get out. You've got to be quick, because if you're not and you get caught holding a bag, that bag could get pretty heavy very fast. What do you think, Fuzz? What do you
I couldn't agree anymore. I mean, I think you nailed it right on the hammer. I mean, we have to be pretty careful. I think they're going to be a little interesting on like how they are going to word and try to shape things, especially going into midterms. Like you said, the Fed has a congressional mandate on what their job is and what they have to do. So they really try to keep things pretty neutral. And Biden can say whatever he wants, and politics can say what they want. But uh, the job of the Fed is to keep the economy running and keep the economy strong and healthy. So it doesn't matter what really politics does. But of course, that can there's I mean, we're all human, so factors can come into play. But yeah, I think the Fed is going to try to play things very, very cautiously. And they even hinted at the Wall Street Journal that they were possibly going to uh, hit the brakes a little bit on their aggressive behavior as of lately. So I'm going to be kind of paying attention to that. I know that entering into a blackout period up until the next Fed meeting in November. So it's going to be a little interesting. I know they like to have their speeches day in and day out, it seems, because they're pretty much celebrity status at this point. Bullard, all those guys. I mean, you name them. They're pretty much celebrities at this point, especially within the financial market. So they love to talk. They love to speak their heads off. And, anything that they say, the market's going to pretty much nitpick at. So, as we kind of gear into, the bigger picture of things, yeah, we can play these bounces, but I do want to remain uh some somewhat cautious, because I don't know, and I don't think that the rally is going to be sustainable. We'll see. And if the rally is not sustainable and we do come crashing on down, does 3400 hold? And I don't think it does if we do get a decent rally and we just come crashing on through. So 3400 remains my key level there on the SPX if we really want to tie that into. But
Yeah, I mean, when I
yeah,
was thinking about,
it's gotta work.
whether or not we were going to get back into a bull market, it's a 3,800 to 3,900, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I mean, I called that last week, right? I go, listen, if we get over 3,800, more bulls are going to get involved here, and
I
I
agree.
think that that's going to be a very strong level. And if you can break it, great, get in and out, right? Bull side, let's go, run it. But if you don't and you
Absolutely.
reject 3,800, downside, baby. You know how we trade. So just want to keep things moving along here. I also wanted to bring up just briefly about Elon Musk and Twitter from last week. So it turns out Elon Musk is getting pretty sneaky here, and I just want to bring this up really fast. So Elon Musk, right before our very strenuous time where we get to vote in new campaigns and stuff like this for Democrats and the midterms. So he's using midterms in order to potentially get out of the Twitter deal. Hear this. So if Elon Musk gets Twitter, he says that he would reduce the headcount by 75%. Did you hear
I
this?
saw that. Yeah.
So what is Joe Biden going to do?
Huge.
Right? How are you going to preach, hey, we're going to give you guys more jobs? And then Elon Musk comes out and says, we're cutting 75% of the headcount if we get this deal.
Right.
Like,
well, they can go work with someone with the infrastructure bill, right?
What a genius
I'm just
move.
kidding. That's terrible.
What a genius move, because Biden's going to come in and they're going to block it, right? So even after that,
Yeah.
he went out and had a meeting with oh man, now I forget his name. The Russia. Help me. Putin. That's right. He went out and had a meeting with Putin. And so now all the red flags are up, right? And so there's a potential chance that the U.S. government's going to get involved with the Tesla and Twitter trade in order to block him from buying it, which I think is hilarious. I think it's what a perfect time for you to come out and say, "Yeah, we're going to just reduce the headcount by 75%, and then we'll be a profitable company."
It's a mess. I'm not touching Twitter. I'm staying away from it. This whole thing's just a big.
And then right on the back door,
mess.
Apple had some huge news. Fuzz, you want to bring us into the news that Apple let us have last week?
Yeah, they're slowing down their production of the iPhone 14 because the sales are not that great. They're way down. Even
nobody wants to pay $1,000 a phone.
Right. Even
nobody wants to do that anymore.
Steve Jobs' daughter, even when the iPhone 14 got launched, even Steve Jobs' own daughter was like, "That's it? What is this? This is just another iPhone 13 or iPhone 12 even." So I mean, they didn't. I mean, they changed the bezelment or the bezel, whatever the notch is on the top. They changed that, and I think there was a few other changes here and there. But as far as like, if you really want this to be like your flagship of phones, I mean, it's really nothing innovative.
Yeah.
So if you're like an iPhone 12, iPhone 13 user, I mean, maybe if you're iPhone 12, but if you're iPhone 13, nah, there's no sense to upgrade to this current version. So yeah, that's my take on it. But yeah, sales are down, and that kind of sent Apple like down the drain for a day, and then we shot back up, of course, the next day. But it kind of spooked everybody a little bit. Like, oh no,
so
the iPhone sales are down.
My wife is an iPhone or i14 holder. She got the new one.
I got the new one too. Yeah, I got the new one.
Store, got the new one, right? Paid the money for it.
Right.
We're on vacation at our honeymoon, and the moon's up, and we're sitting in like our pool in our hut, and she's like, "Oh, take a picture of the moon." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I'd like bring out my Galaxy, right? And I take a picture of it, pull out my Android, took a picture of it. It automatically did like this night mode thing and did like this cool like reflection of the moon in the water. It was great. And then she took a picture of her iPhone, and it looked like a white speck in a black screen. And I go, "Oh." I was like, "That's awful." She was like, "Oh, your phone's so much better." I was like, "You're so right. You are so right."
Tell her to go in her settings. There's some settings in there that she might need to configure. I did find that out about the camera. Some they automatically turned off some settings that you need to turn back on to boost. Now, what I did, I had a Note 20 Ultra, and they had like a 20x zoom on that thing. That thing is a beast of a 20x zoom. I'll tell you that much. So if you have an Android, it's pretty beefy.
You can zoom in and see all the crevices in the moon. It's dope, man. I love it. So, we're getting into earnings season, right? I mean, this is the most important earnings season in recent memory, because analysts have pretty much slashed earnings estimates by the highest margin in more than 2 years. And so giving earnings are the biggest fundamental driver of equity returns. If we see actual results exceed expectations, it could be the catalyst for a rally into the year end. listen, there are some stocks that I'm looking at that I've been a huge fan on. I feel like I've been screaming it from the top of the mountains. Macy's is going to be a
Macy's.
winner. Like, it is on a bull run. I love every second of it. It's the one of the largest holdings in my portfolio right now, and I'm loving this bull ride that it's having. I don't know how long
Sure.
it's going to last, but I'm holding it until March, right? Because we're not going to know how good December really is until March for
Right.
Macy's, right? And so by that time, I'll know whether or not that earnings season was good. So I'm holding back and kind of trying to temper my expectations, but I just want to make sure that I'm in the green as much as possible before the Fed send us back down, right? And so I'm trying to pick out this level of, okay, here's the low, and at the worst case scenario, this 1830 seems to be about it, and it kind of peaks to 19 and change, and then it rejects and it comes back down. So around that $18 range is like the beautiful spot for me. Is there anything that you're looking at going into earnings week next week that you're like, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens here?
That's a funny question because Snapchat had their earnings last
Oh
week,
yeah, 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 yeah,
and
yeah.
it sent shockwaves throughout the market because Snap has such a big impact on the market, even though they're just like a tiny little blip within the market. But hey,
Right,
it does that. Like if you go back to the historical context a few quarters back or so, you'll see that anytime that Snapchat has their earnings, it has this crazy wackadoo effect on the market. So, yeah, I'm curious to see about Meta. I mean, I know Meta currently is
yeah.
having some trouble with the
Meta's on
metaverse.
Wednesday.
They even said that the majority of their employees don't even use the metaverse. Um, so we know they're losing money right now, right?
Right.
So I'm curious to see what their user base is. I'm curious to know, what kind of revenue they are kind of bringing in. I
Still
think
bringing it. Right.
I think this earnings season is really interesting. I think it's going to matter for like a day or two, but it's not
Mhm.
really a big impact because I don't think a lot of people are going to care what the company did, but I think they're only going to care about what they're going to do
The guidance.
next. Yeah,
Right.
the guidance,
The guidance is
what
going to
the
be
future
big.
holds, and what kind of stuff that because we've already seen some companies already say we're not going to release these numbers next go around. We'll just keep that to ourselves for the time being until the economy kind of gets back in shape. So we've already seen aspects of that to kind of go. So I'm going to be paying attention to that. I think Ford's going to be kind of interesting to see where their EV sales are at.
Or yep,
And
yep.
then yeah, we got General Motors in there as well. Google's definitely going to be a big boy. And then Intel. Intel just released their new 14th generation chips. It's not going to have much of an impact this go around, but I'm looking
The
forward
guidance.
to the guidance and how they're going to shape up for next quarter because the prices that they put out for those 14th generational chips, they're not too shabby in regards to competing with AMD's chips. So I'm definitely going to be paying attention to that. They've also released their own GPU, the Intel Arc. So that could be an interesting factor to see. I don't think too many people are using that just because I think it's comparable to like a 2080 or 3060, something like that. So it's not top of the line. It's just kind of mid tier, something to get you by kind of thing. If you just need something to get you through, maybe get you some 60 FPS if you're a gamer. But I mean, of course, if you're a gamer, you're going to NVIDIA as far as GPUs go. And then, of course, we still got some energy, guys. I'm watching ExxonMobil. We
Uh,
played ExxonMobil
yeah.
last week and just nailed it. That's mainly based off the news with the energy news and OPEC plus and Biden trying to stick it to the man.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
yeah,
the
I
fact
think
is
that one's
you're
going to be
you're
good.
gonna see some huge moves up
Right.
into Thursday, right? Because Thursday is the big dog day, right? You got Amazon, Apple, you got Microsoft. No,
Big
wait,
names. Yeah.
Microsoft's Wednesday. You got Dexcom, Capital One, Merck, right? MRK.
Oh,
I
Merck.
know a lot
Yeah,
of
that's
people
going
are
to be a good
watching
one
Merck.
too. Yeah.
McDonald's, who's been on a rip of lately. I mean, I think that McDonald's was one of those plays like when inflation is taking over, who do you rely on? McDonald's just always seems to be this play. Keep that
Did you
in
ever get
mind,
you
ladies
a
and gentlemen. Make that a note in your book. when we are in an inflational period, it's time to get into McDonald's. They've been a strong winner of late, and I can't believe I missed that move this year. But I missed it. It is what it is. You can't win them all.
Yeah, you
I've
can't
been
win them all.
crazy at work lately, but we'll get there. And then of course, some interesting news is probably going to come to us on Friday, right? With the PCE, which is the price index month over month, the core PCE, right? And then
Right.
the employment cost index. So this is really going to give us some insight on where we are with this. I don't know if you guys have heard about what a price what is it income price spiral? Income price spiral. So that's what it is. So it's when you fight inflation by raising people's pay. And then you fight inflation and you raise people's pay, right? And it's just this big, huge whirlwind of raising prices and then raising people's pay. And so we can't get into this whirlwind because that is the first sign of economic failure. And so once that happens, we're going to be headed down fast. People are going to be running for the hills. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this employment cost index is actually moving. We want to see an increase, but not much, right? We want to see people
Right.
get, this 8 to 10%, flux, but we don't want it over 15, 16%, right? Because then we know that they're trying to gauge future inflation, and we can't have that, right? And so it'll be interesting to watch Friday and how that all reacts. Keep in mind about that price swirl. It's going to be something interesting and something fearful to watch for sure.
Yep.
And then ExxonMobil is on Friday with
Yep.
their earnings, and it'll be pretty slow after that. But those are some of the big things that I'm watching, especially when we're still fighting inflation. The numbers aren't coming down as fast as we thought that they were going to come, and so we'll see what happens into 2023.
Right. They did say that, inflation comes down like a feather. It shoots up like a rocket, but comes down like a feather. So it's going to be a sticky situation for the foreseeable future for sure, and it's not going to come down anytime fast. That's another reason why we're a little bit skeptical, on how these bounces go, just because we know that the path, uh, fundamentally speaking, right now is also to the downside as well as the technical. So things are definitely still aligned in that regard. And we also got GDP and new home sales data coming out this week. So those are two more sticky parts. I mean, the mortgage rate hit what 7.2% last week. So it's up there, and we can see that the home builder sentiment is definitely going way down right now. So, and I've walked around the grocery store today, and there was this couple, I guess, talking to their daughter or something. She was talking that they were going to live uh, with her parents for the time being as they kind of save up to buy a house, and they're like, no, you don't want to buy a house right now. And we're like, yeah, that's right. And I wanted to turn to him like, yeah, I would wait on that, but wait till these rates come down, and wait for prices to get back to a buyer's market, because if you're paying way out of pocket, say a house is worth 200K and it's marked up to 300K, and plus you're paying a 7.2 interest rate. I mean, you might as well sell your kidney and firstborn child just to pay for that dang thing. So,
That's what I'm saying, man. Jessica and I were so lucky to buy this house when we did.
right,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, so lucky. We're at like 5.25. We
And
got
a lot of people are
so
like, they're
lucky.
fortunate, very fortunate, yeah.
And
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 I feel it.
and that's just the nature of the beast, right? I mean,
Right.
if you wait, right? If you wait, you're gonna have to pay very, very high rents. And that's
Yeah,
another problem, right? I mean,
rents
the
is a
rents
big
are
problem.
are are way more than the cost of buying a home nowadays, right? And
Right.
so even with the high interest rates, so it may be a bad deal long term, but at least you have something you can call your own. And that I guess that's really what I fight with being in the rent race, if you will, is you're only paying somebody else's mortgage, right? And
Right.
so sometimes you may have to bite the bullet, but just go out there and follow that dream, man. I think that if you can get approved to buy a home, it is what it is. But yeah, I agree. I think that there's going to be a period where the price of your home falls and the interest rates are still up high, and you'll be able to pay a lower rate or a lower monthly rate and still have a high interest rate and just be fine, right? And so that way you're not
Absolutely.
paying, a $3,000 or a $3,500 monthly payment on your home. You're paying more like a $2,000 to $2,500 monthly payment for your home. But you know what I think, Fuzz? You know what I think is going to happen? This is just the Nostradamus penny slayer coming through on
Lay it
this
on
one.
me, man. I like it.
Look, watch what happens here with this. The people who have bought homes during this inflationary period, watch for something to happen with the people here. I bet you the Fed step in to help with the number change in the future. I think that because people will be stuck in these homes, you'll see the potential for more bankruptcies, right?
Right,
And
right.
if you file for more bankruptcies, how are they going to help you? By maybe knocking off, 50 grand of your mortgage to bring it down to a lower rate. I don't know what that looks like, right? I
Oh,
don't know. I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
what's going to happen there. I don't know. I can't
Some
call
kind
it.
of some kind of bailout.
Some kind of hey, if you bought a home between then and there, you get some type of like rebate plan. You know what I mean? Just I have a feeling, man. I'm telling you, I've got it. It's like it's coming. I just
If
know
your
it's
house was covered in asbestos.
yeah, right. If you were drinking water back in this army platoon back in 1940,
Right.
then yeah, you're covered. We got you.
Yeah,
No
we
no
got you.
doubt.
And you get some government guy come out to your house to inspect. Oh, there it is. Yep.
Yeah.
We
So
got you.
listen, before we cut it short, we only got a few minutes left here. One stock to rule them all. Who you got next week?
Ooh, that is a good one. I'm going to be watching healthcare and insurance names. So like United Health, like you brought up Merck earlier. I really like Merck. And I like Exxon Mobil. If energy continues to bump up, I'm all over it. It's a fun play to trade. We did it a few times last week and won every single time. So I like Zom. Gonna rock Zom and some healthcare names for sure.
Yep. So my play is actually a play on your stuff last week. I'm
Okay,
going metals here. I'm going metals.
I like it. I
Wheaton,
like it.
Wheaton Precious Metals. That's WPM.
Okay,
I've got them coming through this week as my most bullish stock. I think that I'm bullish as long as it remains above $28 to $29, and then the upside here is the 40. So I'm waiting for this break of about the $33 range. But as soon as that bad boy breaks, we're climbing back up to $40.
I like it. I really like the metals play. I mean, they were on a freaking roll last week. I really like copper at this point. You know, we really want copper to boogie woogie and join the party if we want the economy to improve. So definitely
Yeah,
watching copper. Freeport McMoran, like that's a fun one to trade as well. It's a little bit slow mover, but you know it is what it is.
yeah.
Alcoa, X, US Steel. We like to see if X is going to give it to us. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. That's a rap reference. If you don't know, uh, yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys, for coming out. Love to see you guys here. We'll see you guys next weekend.
Right.
And that will be our last show, Fuzz. That'll be
Yep.
our last show for the year. And
Next
then
week will be
we
the
maybe
finale.
potentially kicking this back up next year. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And be sure, just going to throw in one more plug for dadmerch.com. Go check out the new store that we've got set up. You got some shirts, some hoodies, some pants, and all that kind of good stuff. So be sure to check that out. Check us out on the social medias and give us a thumbs up, give us a like. We love
Hit that
you
like
and
button.
hope you have a good week.
All
Hit that
right,
like
guys.
button.
See y'all later. Have a good one, Fuzz.
See you, bud.
See you guys. Y'all have a good one.